So let's screen. Here we go. Okay, so welcome everyone. In today's third session, I believe, of Hack a Box, where we take a box from one of the popular platforms, usually Hack the Box or Proving Grounds Practice. And the box is so in this context, because we're trying to make things easier, a box is just a machine, a server that is publicly accessible to us. And we try to follow the common penetration testing procedure to get access to that server and basically hack it. So, what is the objective? Are we like trying to be some malicious black hats, people who are hacking stuff just for fun? Or, thank you, Ali. Love your wallpaper. That's one of the default ones in Cali. Are we trying to be black hats and do things maliciously? No, that's not necessarily the case. We're trying to use this as a crutch to learn cybersecurity through. So, just as we've seen with the CTFs, we're trying to solve challenges, or we're solving challenges, and in the process we're learning about so much. We're learning so much about the technology. We're learning tools, we're learning techniques, we're learning about protocols, we're learning the methodology of how to think and how to approach these kind of challenges. And that's exactly what we're going to do here with this, with hacking a box. We're taking this, or following this procedure, to learn about technology and become more familiar with technology and security in general. So let's get started. Uh, let's see. So right now I have Kali Linux, which is our operating system that has all of the security tools and the things we need installed, pre-installed. So it's convenient to use. Um, Let me actually show you something here. So let's actually close this. I'm connected to VPN, the offensive security VPN, because we're going to be doing a box from their network. Offensive security is a platform that provides some boxes we can hack, and it's paid. But you guys, I'll show you like alternatives at the end, so you guys can practice on your own. Now I'll go on this workspace here, and I'm gonna pop two things. I'm gonna pop a terminal, and I'm gonna pop a browser. Okay. Now let's start with something. Let me open Mousepad. Okay, that's gonna be our. Let's actually use something like Cherry Tree to take notes. Okay, because it's important while we're working as a penetration tester to take notes. So let me keep this here, and I'm gonna create a node. You don't need to worry about this. It's just me setting up the note-taking process. So this is gonna be. I mean, we can just call it so like box notes. Like, I'm not gonna divide it for now. Okay, so we have. First of all, can you see my screen, or is it too small? I think the font might be a little bit small.
Bit small, yeah.
Okay, so let me 1 second. Let's change the resolution. So display settings. Okay, keep changes. Yep. Now let's do this again. Okay, now I think it should be better, no? Now better?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, so this is our notes. Now I'll keep one note for each box that we're doing. Today's box is going to be called, let's see, it's going to be called plum. Okay. So let's put this. So it's going to be, let's like rename this, make it, can we change this? Can we not? Properties somewhere here. Okay, it's going to be called plum. And we're going to be typing here. So I'm going to do plum. And we can do this. Okay, this is Control one. Okay. Control one, two. Okay. Okay. So this is our box, and the first entry point, or the first thing we do. How do we even approach this? We're given. Let's see what we're given. We're given an IP address. Okay. So we're given an IP address. We'll be given an IP address like this. So A dot B dot C dot D. And from this IP address, we're going to take it and do things on it to explore it further. And then we're going to do this recursively. So every time we scan, we find stuff, we research, we scan again, we find stuff, and it's going to be like a tree. We are following the steps like a tree, branching out until we find a vulnerability. And once we find the vulnerability, we take it, we exploit it, and that's how we get access. And then once we get access, we try to do what we call privilege escalation, so that we can get even more higher access and basically compromise the box and get a flag that's hidden on the box to prove that we've finished it. So let's do this. I launched the machine and I have my IP address here. So let's get started. The first thing that we do is called enumeration. Okay, that's enumeration. Let's make this like that. This is, yep, enumeration. So we take this address and scan it. And thankfully, let me make a pg plum. Let's make so here I have my terminal, and this is where I'm typing my commands. The first command that we're going to use is going to be called nmap. Okay, so I'm going to do nmap, and I'm going to paste in. What do we want to do? Want to scan. So I'm going to paste in my the IP address that was given to me. That's IP address for plum. And I'm going to do the following. I'm going to say that I want to scan all ports. I believe I'm going to assume that you guys taking networking, you're studying computers, which is a valid assumption, I believe. And you know what ports are, what TCP ports are. So we want to scan and look at all TCP ports. Okay. Now I'm going to do dash VVV to be verbose so I can see results right away. And I'm going to do dash T4 to make this faster. I'm going to do dash SV to enable version detection. I'm going to do dash SC to enable default scripts. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Uh, Now, each one of these options has a meaning, and we can read the manual and see what these mean. But for now, you don't need to worry about this. It's just me saying that, and let's actually add sudo here. It's just me saying that I'm going to run this command to scan this IP address. Okay, and let's actually save the results somewhere so we can look at them. So I'm going to say nmap results. Okay, and let's press enter. Asking me for my password, and let's do that. Okay, so we just launched the scanning, and we're enumerating this IP address. Okay, let's see what can we get out of this. Okay, because we enabled the dash VVVV, we're getting results right away, and right off the bat, we can see that we have two ports open: port 80 TCP and port 22 TCP. Let's like from experience, we know that port 80 is what? Can you guys tell me? What's port 80 usually? What runs on port 80? What runs on port 80 is HTTP. Okay, HTTP is the web application protocol, the hypertext transfer protocol, which is used on all for all web applications. The dash VVV Ali is for verbosity. So if I don't have this, I'm not gonna get all of this output. It's gonna just like hide everything, and it's going to show me the results when it's done scanning at the very end. But if I want to see things and like the details, like this stuff, debugging details to help me understand what's going on, it's good to have this. But if I don't want to be, bombarded with output, I can just remove it. And anyways, the result gets saved, the output gets saved at this file at the very end. So let's explore one of these. So now we found two things. Let's actually type them here. So enumeration. Let's actually copy my command because it's good to document the commands that you have run. So let's do a code block, and let's do this. Here we go. Now we're documenting our comments. Uh, can we do this here? How do we disable this? Results. Okay, we're stuck in a code block. You know what? Ah, okay, it's here. Uh, I don't usually use cherry tree. I use obsidian. But anyways, we have the code block with our command here, and we have this. We can start typing here. So now that I have my command, let's say that we found two ports so far, and we didn't scan them yet, and map still hasn't done, so it's not scanning them yet. But we found two ports. Let's list them. So we have 80 TCP, and we have 22 TCP. Okay. Now let's move forward. Let's actually highlight these so I can do, I believe, how can we do this? Yeah, change the color. So let's make this red, and let's make this Shift Alt F. Okay, Shift Alt F. Always try to learn the shortcuts or the tools you use the most. It saves you time. Okay, so 80 and 22. Let's go now. And how do we interact with a web application? Through a web browser. So I'm gonna go to Firefox here, and I'm gonna let's get back to our notes. Copy this IP and paste it. And by default, when you visit an IP, the web browser is gonna access port 80. Okay. Very cool. We have something going on here. Definitely, there's lots of stuff going on here. But let's see. From the first glance, I think this is some sort of a blog. Okay, there's something called Blue XML. Seems to be the name of the application running here, and it's a blog or CMS XML powered. It's some kind of technology, some kind of application that's uh, this blog is made with. Now we are cybersecurity engineers. Okay, so what we try to do is look at the technologies. We're not normal users. Okay, we try to look at the technologies. So for now, I noticed something called Blue XML. Okay, that's important. So let's do here web or like exploring. So you see, we took this, and from here we branched into two things, and we're gonna explore them both in a second. By exploring port 80, let's actually take a screenshot because it's important to document everything that we do. So I'm gonna take something like this to show the website that we found. Because in an actual penetration test where you have a client or you have someone you're working for, and these people are not hiring you to just hack the box. Nobody cares if you're able to hack it or not. They care about the report that you submit and the vulnerabilities that you find in their system, so they can fix it. They're interested in fixing it. Okay, nobody's interested in you hacking it. I mean, other than you. But if they want to take action, they're probably interested in fixing it and seeing how you did it and what can be fixed. So that's why we need a report, and it should be a good one. Now let's see. So what do we have here? Blue XML. Let's look this up. I'm just gonna explore this. Let's see. We have an extension here called Webalizer. Maybe it can help us do some enumeration. It seems we're running PHP. We're running Apache, which is a web server technology, and we're running on Linux. Now, this is not necessarily accurate, but it's often a good estimate. Extensions like Webalizer, you can add it from the extension store to Chrome or Firefox, and it helps you understand the technologies a web application is operating on. But I think in this case, PHP and Apache makes sense. It's a good estimate. So let's see, exploring port 80. We find a CMS called XML. CMS is short for a content management system, just like WordPress and other stuff. They help you manage content and like add contents easily. And they have so many vulnerabilities most of the time. Uh, so whenever you find a CMS in a box like this, it's probably vulnerable. So let's see. We also find Apache. and PHP. It seems like a PHP, a Linux LAMP environment. Okay, LAMP is short for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. It's a common kind of environment, a common technology stack that's been used ever since the internet to deploy web applications. So it's nothing untypical. Now let's see. Can we explore this? Let's no, I don't want to open the feed, but let's like explore it as a normal user would. So there seems to be some commenting features. Uh, One thing I noticed is we have a username here. So the usernames are exposed. So there's a username called BlueXML that seems to be like the one of the default users. So let's write that down. BlueXML. Let's see if we can find anything else. Uh, Written by admin. Okay. Let's take that as well. So there seems to be two users, BlueXML and admin. Let's see, since there's usernames and this is a content management system, probably there is some sort of login functionality here. So let's see. I'm going to search this up. So BlueXML login page or admin page, something like that. Admin. And actually, I noticed something here. BlueXML stored XSS. So can we find that information? We can see that it's an open source website, so we can probably look at it. Look at its source code. But let's see, can we see anything here? Data, maybe. Core, and we can see it's written in PHP. Okay, there's something called admin. Maybe that can help us a bit. Can we try actually going to admin.php? Nope. Maybe it's called something else. Okay, what we can do at least, let's do maybe stash. Okay, what we can do is we're cybersecurity people now. We don't do things manually, right? So I'm going to open a new window here. I'm going to do boxpg plum to keep things organized. And I'm going to use a tool called FUF. Okay. This tool allows us to enumerate. Okay. So enumerate and look at different directories because I'm suspecting there's a login form somewhere here. Maybe login. No. Login.php. PHP. Maybe. Okay. We can't find it, but we'll find it. We'll try to find it this way. Just do this. Fuzz is the placeholder. I want to enumerate and try different words at, and then I'm going to supply a long file with so many words. Okay, so I know one that's good. So let's try one of these common maybe, and let's do something like this. I want to try different extensions as well. So whatever is in this file, and I want to try .php for example, and I think that's it. So let's do this, and let's actually make this colored. So we get some coloring in here. Let's see what do we get. So right now it's trying different combinations. So it's taking this website, visiting it, and adding different combinations at the very end here. Okay, we have something called core. We have config.php. Can we access that? Config. Can we look at this? No. We have index.php, obviously. We have core, we have data. We have readme, we have sitemap.php. Can we look at that? Sitemap. Okay, so giving us much. It's meant for RSS readers. Okay, we found a bunch of stuff. So you saw how a tool like this was able to help us immensely understand the thing we're attacking. Okay, we're able to see what's running or what's available to us. What are the options that we can go ahead and try to look at and attack? So let's see. Let's add this actually. So I'm going to add a code block here. Yes, and I'm going to do this. And maybe here I want to actually add the command that I used as well. So just in case someone wants to repeat or double check my, I'll check. Just in case someone wants to repeat my steps, They can go here and see my report and see everything that I ran, and they can double check it, which is very important. It's critical actually. Directory, directory enumeration, or brute force. That's what we've done. So a directory is like this slash something. That's a directory, and we when we enumerate or try different things, that's called directory enumeration or brute force because we're trying to find what are the directories available to us. Now, now I'm confused. Like, where do we take this further? Let's try and maybe assess each one of these. These ones are directories, and they give us a status code of 301. That's a redirect. Let's see what that does. Let's do core, and let's actually do what Ali suggested. Admin and next to PHP. Do we get anything? Nope. Just admin slash. Nope. So let's see. Core admin.php, core auth.php. Nope, because that's what we found here, something like that. Hmm. Core admin. Okay, core admin. Okay, here we go. So we found some login form. Okay, so I mean it's clunky. Usually you can find this information if you search more in the documentation. But we did it manually through the source code, and knowing that PHP often, like the routes in a PHP application, often follows the directory structure of the source code. So yeah, you're using some knowledge that you know with something that you research to make assumptions and make decisions. So let's see. Often there is a default credential that is not changed in these kind of content management systems. So let's do blue XML default credentials. And while we're at it, now one thing I really wanted to know. Oh, there's something here. There's some remote code execution vulnerability. Um, let's see. So maybe let's try something like admin maybe. Wait, what? Okay, that worked. Crazy. So do not underestimate default credentials. Many times an admin would set an account or set an application and they would forget to set credentials. Okay, they would take the default credentials and just use them as is. So it's important to let's actually log off. Now that we found this login form, let's actually take a screenshot because that's important. I mean, there's no vulnerability in here necessarily. It's a login form. It's meant to protect the page, but in our case, there was a case of weak or default credentials. Okay, so we we find an admin login form at so what is it? It is slash core. Let's make it slash core slash admin slash auth.php. Now we're documenting everything. We're being organized. Alt Shift F, I believe, yes, and we make it red this way. Okay, and we try a bunch of default common credentials. And this decision was not necessarily arbitrary because we've collected and we've checked before that, like we're not being guessy here. We know that there is a username called admin, and we know there is a username called bluexml, and we know that these are probably default usernames that come configured um this Blue XML CMS. So that's why we tried the username admin. And commonly, I mean, if admin didn't work, I would try admin password, admin something else. And if that fails, then okay. At least we tested for default credentials. That's your job as a penetration tester. Even if you don't find the vulnerability there, you can report that I haven't found one. I checked for default credentials, and good to know, this CMS is or this configuration is secure because they're not using default credentials. It's secure against default credentials. So let's just log in and cut it short. Let's log in, and let's see. Now we have one very important, like I can explore this. This is the admin dashboard of the CMS where we can manage the different comments, the different media, or we can create a new article and publish it. We can do that, but I don't want to waste time. We can look at different things. We can look at the change the time zone. It's in Paris. We can change. Let's actually change this. My let's deface it actually. Hacked. So let's save this. And now we can come here and let's paste this. Oops. And if we go here, we can see that we actually managed to change the title of the website. So we're now at the admin control or the admin dashboard of the CMS. Now I don't care about any of this because I'm not interested in defacing this. Why would I? I'm interested in actually fully hacking it. We're not gonna deface it only. We're gonna get into this. So what's one critical piece of information that we can see on this page? I would say it's this. Okay, the version number of the software. Whenever we're dealing with software, we're interested in the version number. No, not even the user account, sorry. The version numbers, because different versions in software is not all the same thing, as we said before. It is different versions, and each version might be vulnerable to things, and another version might not be vulnerable to the same things. So it's important to know the versions because when we take this version, let's copy this, we find blue XML. Let's paste this actually here. Blue XML, it's a link. Why is it a link? Okay. Can we delete link? Yes. Oops. Dismiss link. Okay. So here we go. Let's make this red as well. So we find, so let's search this up actually. So we have something like the exploit DB, a place where we can find exploits. So let's paste this in and let's see what happens. There is nothing. Okay, let's use the bigger exploit DB, the actual Google exploit. Let's do something like this. Whoa, 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 whoa. There seems to be something going on. I would be interested in this one. And it says a vulnerability was found in Blue XML 5.87. It has been reported and rated as critical. Now, why couldn't have we done this before? Because this website is seemingly secure. It doesn't tell you what version number it's using on the front page. Okay, like we couldn't tell from any of the things we've done here, we couldn't tell that this is Blue XML 5.8.7. But when we chained the first vulnerability, which is weak credentials or like in default credentials, we were able to get access to the admin dashboard and consequentially getting access to the version number, which we're going to use to launch our next attack. So let's do this. We have admin, that's important, and we were able to log in. Wow. Okay. And see the admin dashboard. An important uh, thing, an important information that we what? How do you type this? So a nice piece of information was found, which is the version number. Okay, so let's take this. Okay, there's it was discovered to oh that's critical. There is a vulnerability in this version that was discovered to allow attackers to execute arbitrary code via crafted PHP code. Wow, that's really nice. I mean, for us, not for the admin probably, but let's see this. Can we look at this? Now, CVEs, you will see this a lot. It's the common vulnerability exposure number. So whenever a vulnerability is found, I'm going to look at this document in a second. But whenever a vulnerability is found by security researchers, people like us who are testing, continuously testing different applications and different things, trying to make them secure, when these vulnerabilities are found, they report it to a CVE granting body. I'm not sure. I think it's NIST. It could be, yeah. But there's different institutions that can grant you. I mean, I think it's only one, but you can look up CVEs on different websites, and we can actually look that up. CVE granting bodies. No, not countering violent extremism. Cybersecurity. I'm not sure if I don't think MITRE does this. I think it is, or it could be. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure. Here they refer to it as the framework, but I think the registry is like centralized and owned by someone. But commonly, you'll see companies like MITRE, cve.mitre.org. That's where you find them. You'll find NIST. They have their own, I think, NVD. Yep, nvd.nist.gov, National Vulnerability Disclosure. They have lots of these. But anyways, and see like here, last 20 scored vulnerabilities. Like you can see top things that just came today. So that's 2024, CV 2024, and then the ID, CV 2024, some other stuff, Sentry, different software, different things. And you can scroll and scroll and scroll and see stuff that are happening. And they're continuously happening. Every day there are CVEs and things found. This is what, February 8th here. And all the way down, we have, okay, August 2021. Okay. But that's about CVEs. Now, when we find the CVE, that's our kind of jackpot. Now we're happy. We found something that we know is vulnerable, and there's a CVE for it. But maybe we're not sure how to exploit it. Let's see if there's an exploit for this CVE. Let's actually copy this, and back in our cherry notes, uh, which seems to be vulnerable to CVE 2022, dismiss link. Uh, okay, okay, to this version number. So let's get back and try to exploit it. Okay. It says 2018 a hint. 2018 could be a hint, but in this case, and yeah, that's actually a very good point. Usually, you're interested in looking at the dates, so you can look at the dates of the posts, the dates of the like this, the copyright, because these could hint on the or could tell you that this software maybe was configured in 2018, and you can look up the version numbers that were released in 2018, and like see, like maybe guess if there's an exploit for one of these. But that's not accurate because 2018 there's probably 4 or 5 releases or maybe more based on the software of this blue XML that were released on that date and in that year. So which one is it? Because maybe one vulnerability is introduced in one year and then it's batched to the next release and that kind of thing. And maybe this is misleading. Maybe it's outdated. Maybe it's incorrect. So we can't fully rely. But maybe if we're like, what is the word? If we're desperate, we might try, like at the very end, like as a last resort, we might try and find something at 2018, maybe something at 2023 here or something. But yeah, it's not accurate. What is accurate is actually logging into the admin dashboard and seeing that the actual reported version is 5.8.7. That's accurate, and we know exactly that's what's running here. Uh, and by the way, if you find a blog or a tool, a CMS that is disclosing its version in the homepage for everyone publicly, that could be reported as a some sort of a vulnerability. Not always, but it could be as we can call it like information disclosure, public information or sensitive information disclosure, kind of. It could be because it could help. It's not critical, but it could help an attacker fingerprint and understand what technology is exactly running. And maybe if it's an open source tool, they can go to that exact version source code and perform white box hacking. So they can look at the source code for that particular version, stay for weeks and months, maybe a couple of hackers trying to analyze the source code and find something for it. So it's often good to, be what we call provide security in depth by preventing them to start with from fingerprinting or understanding the version that you're running. And ideally, of course, stay on the latest version. So let's go here. CVE 22. This is seems like it's a research submitted by one of the one researcher. This guy maybe Moritz Hubbard. Hubbard. So let's see. How do we do this? Steps to reproduce the exploit. This guy is awesome. Log in with a manager account in the administration, select static pages, and edit one of the pages. Wait, what? Just like that? Okay. Okay, that's a very ridiculous vulnerability. I don't know how they got to version 5.8.7 with this in their system. Or maybe it was sometimes, so everything before this version is secure, So it's not necessarily like something that's available for all versions till 5.8.7. No, it could have been introduced by mistake in one edit by someone. Like one guy made an edit and he introduced that vulnerability. So let's do this. Um, okay, so we're gonna go to static pages. Okay, there's a new page here. Let's do create. Can we create a new page? Selected item. Okay, we can create a new page here. So I'm gonna create a page and I'm gonna call it uh, testing, and the URL is gonna be testing, testing one maybe, and I want to make it active. You know, I'm not necessarily familiar with this web page or this CMS, but you can guess what's going on here. So most web pages or most content management systems are going to give you an option to activate and deactivate pages. They're going to give you, allow you to set the URL for the page you're creating. You can maybe choose to hide it from the menu, from the main menu. So here, I think I've seen a page. Okay, so there's a page here, static one, which is the one we see here. Let's actually make it something more interesting. Hacked one, and display, and let's do okay. I believe data was successfully saved. I think it wasn't created. Let's refresh. No, it wasn't. Let's see, how do we do this? Hacked one, active. Okay. Can we? How do we submit this? Modify static page list. Yeah. Okay. So if we click here, we modified it and we created it. Now I expect if I refresh this page, I should find something here. And indeed, we find one. So we find two pages, static one with some content, and hacked, which we're going to use to launch our CVE, our exploit. Let's actually save this thing because it's very handy. A nice research piece on how to exploit CVE 2022-25018. And sorry, I'm taking my time with the reporting, but this is important. We need to emphasize that because it's part of the job. Uh, okay, so what's next? Yeah, so he says now that you've created a page, or you can edit one of the pages, you can actually execute and insert PHP code in here. So let me edit this. And this is the empty page we just have here. It's currently being edited. Wow, it's smart to know this. Okay, so I can type hello, and I can save this page, and I can refresh, and I can see hello. So I have control over the content. Now it says that you can insert any arbitrary PHP code. So you can actually put a PHP code here, and it's going to be executed, which is crazy. That's ridiculous. Um, so let's try some PHP code. So I'm going to type PHP. That's how you uh, declare PHP code, and let's type some code here. So I can do echo h1 maybe. No, that's not really PHP. That's just a string, an HTML string. But I can do something like maybe hello here, and I can do h1 again. And oops, let's do a dot in between. I'm just proving to you that we're writing PHP code. And when you do dot and dot, you're concatenating the strings. That's how you do it in PHP. Now, if we refresh, here we go. We find that this is actually if we inspect this, we can see that this is a header, an H1. Okay, so we have code execution confirmed. Now let's take this a step further and exploit it. So let's go to something like revshells.com. Okay, we're taking this now seriously, and I'm gonna go here, and what I'm gonna do, let's say thank you Faf, we don't need you anymore, and I'm gonna do rlrab netcat vanlub 443. Okay, and I'm setting a listener. Okay, I'm setting a listener. This listener is gonna listen, and we're gonna use that. You're gonna see now how we are gonna make the code execution here, like abuse this code execution to send ourselves a what we call a reverse shell. When we send that to us, we're getting connected to the machine and we're able to execute code interactively on the target. Now we can write this manually. I can do this, but for now, I want to like finish this. So I'm gonna go here and quickly get myself a reverse shell. So let's see what we have here. We have a couple of these. We can PHP CMD. We can do one of these definitely. But I want something. Pentis monkey. Yeah, I like that one. So let's take that one. So there's another one here as well. Let's use PHP monkeys since we have lots of head space. Let's copy this. We have lots of room. We have a whole page to put our payload in, so let's use that. So I'm going to paste that in here. That's our payload. And it tells you that you should be changing the... Oh, actually, you know what? Wait. Here we can, in refshells.com, we can set up the details. So I want to be listening, or I'm listening on 192.168.45.177. You can see that reported up here in the top right corner, and I want to be listening at port 443. Uh, it's not that I want to. It is what I'm listening on, and it's still here waiting for me to do the reverse shell thingy. So let's do this. Now we've set the IP. Let's double check. Yup. Now let's copy it. It's automatically updated for us. I can copy this. Wait, did I say PowerShell? No, we don't want PowerShell. The shell we want to execute is. Can't I change this? Why is it hanging here? Okay, let's refresh. So PHP and this monkey. Yeah, I'm not sure why is this. Okay. Okay, it was stuck. Anyways, so I'm gonna use /bin/bash because we know from our previous information that this was a Linux box, and actually it tells you on offensive security, it tells you it's a Linux box. So let's paste this in here, and here we go. That's our reverse shell with the updated metadata, and let's save this page. Nothing is gonna happen yet. Nothing is gonna happen until we request this page, because once we request it, refresh, that's where the code is going to execute. Is it clear so far? Do you guys see what's happening? Okay, excellent. I know I might be a little bit fast, but that's the point. This is the advanced track, intermediate track. So let's refresh. I'm gonna refresh, and when the second I refresh, let's actually bring this here. Let's bring this here to the side and bring this because I want you to see it as it happens live. So I have this here, I have this here, and when I refresh, this page is going to be requested, and PHP is gonna to like reply back to this request and like hydrate or populate the response. Is going to execute this code. That's how PHP works. So that's 1, 2, 3, and Bismillah. Boom. Here we go. So we ran it, or we requested the page. PHP responded, or like executed this code to respond, and guess what? The response is never going to come back. It's hanged here. It's hanging. It's loading because there's a process that's going on here, which is our reverse shell, and PHP is waiting for this to finish, waiting for this command. Where is it? So demonize. So it's waiting for this to finish probably, and when this exits, actually I can exit here. I can Control C, and when I Control C, now that exited, and the response was delivered. And I'm not worried because I can simply do this again, refresh. So it's a very reliable version. I can cancel this. Nothing's gonna matter because this is running in the background. So I hope you see the foothold. We call this the foothold. We've obtained the foothold on this machine. So let's do who am I. Okay, we're dub data, dub data. Yes, and I can do something like host name, and now I can actually run code interactively on this machine, just as if I have logged on to it. So let's copy this as some proof. It's nice to have. And here I'm gonna do another code block, and I'm gonna paste these in here. Excellent. So now we're gonna take this next. Like this is not everything because we want to get root. We want to privilege escalate. Right now we're this user. It's a useless user called data, which is not completely useless, but it's used to serve this web application. But we want to get more privileges. We want to be root, the highest privilege on the system. Okay. One thing I want to do is let's check if I have Python here. I do. So let's do a what we call a like create a TTY, tele typewriter, I believe. So let's do import bty.spawn slash bin slash bash. That's a common command that we use to stabilize our shell. So that's actually, let me show you. So right now, if I do tty, I'm not a tty, but if I do, I'm not in a tty, and we need a tty to be able to execute interactive commands like sudo or tell these commands that we're running interactively. So I'm going to do this using Python, and thankfully we have Python installed on this machine, because if we don't, then we're going to suffer a little bit. And boom. Now if we do TTY again, it says now we are in a TTY, and this is our virtual terminal or teletypewriter. So what's next? Let's expand this terminal because we are done with this, and let's yeah, we saved this. We follow the exploit, listen on 443, and boom, we have a reverse shell used Ventus monkeys PHP reverse shell, which is a common one. It's known in the community. It's been old. It's been out there for so long. So let's continue. So now we're done with this web application. I don't care. I got the foothold. Now we're interacting with the terminal, and that's why you need to be good with Linux and know your way around, because you're going to be spending lots of time in here, whether as an attacker with the tools or whether as an attacker again with your targets. So let's do the common enumeration things. Let's see if we can run any commands as data. Okay, we can't. It's asking me for my password. These are the commands. So you don't need to worry about this. It's just the commands. Like, I mean, it's gonna take time. It's a topic for another day. Privilege escalation is a whole topic. But for now, just know that we're running different commands to exploit the system that we just gotten a foothold on. And we're running these commands and like one by one manually, so we can see what we have access to. Maybe there's some misconfiguration, maybe there's something vulnerable, and through that, we might be able to gain the privilege escalation. One thing that we can do is we can do uname-a to see what kind of operating system this is. Seems to be a Debian-based operating system. It's 5.10. Maybe this is the kernel version, so maybe we can find some exploit for the kernel. That's like a low-level exploit, and when usually when there's an exploit for the kernel, that's something critical. You shouldn't be running your system on a vulnerable kernel, and it's an x86-64 machine, so we know that this is a Intel 64-bit machine that we can use. Maybe like we are looking for some binaries or things to run, so we know that we need them as 64-bit. This is critical as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't run. Let's see. Actually, one thing we want to do is check what services are listening within this machine. Okay, and we've done that. So when we did this initially, actually the nmap is done, but we also are done. We confirmed that there's only 2 ports in this machine from the nmap scan, and we can see some of the scan results that are completed, but we don't care because we already got in the foothold, and we can see 22 and 80 here. This is what we got from the external scan. But when we went in, we issued this command sstlbn, so T for TCP, L for listening, B, I'm not sure, I think it's for port number. We can check. TL, yeah. Okay, so T for TCP, L for listening to get listening ports, N for numerical, because this is without N, you get the actual names, which is actually useful in this case. But if you do N, you get the names converted to a number, and let's see what happens when you do B. I think nothing. I think B shows you the process that's running, but we can't see the process yet because we are not a privileged account. And I will show you when we get through it how we can look at the process. So it doesn't do anything in our case. But let's actually remove the N because why do we have it? Uh, we can see something interesting because externally we found that we have two things, right? SSH 22 and 80, which is HTTP. These are the two things we found when we were scanning using Nmap. But here there is something very interesting running locally, running on 127.0.0.1, which is the local private address, which is SMTP. You can see here port 25 from experience, and by default typically runs on 25. That's interesting. I don't usually find SMTP on my boxes. So let's see. Maybe there's vulnerable. Do you know what's SMTP? Exactly. Exactly. I'll answer your question about the users once we're done. Yep, exactly. So it's a simple mail transfer protocol, and you can see how knowledge accumulates. So if you have some background in networking, if you have some background in system administration, you did some web, even basic IT knowledge, everything that you know about technology, about the systems you interact with, it's useful. It's gonna push you forward. It's gonna make cybersecurity easier for you. Compare that to someone who doesn't have that knowledge, that background. If they're doing something as specialized as penetration testing, they're going to suffer. Okay, they're going to struggle a lot because okay, 25 for them is just a number. 8 is just a number. They don't know what that is. Okay. I mean, the other way around, if it's some random board that I've never seen before, I can do TCP 25 and a quick search. I can see something like, I can see references to SMTB. I can see people saying SMTB. Yeah, so 25 for 587. 587 seems to be SMTB over TLS, a secure version, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so we can find that information even if we don't, but it's good to have that background. So that's interesting. If there's an email server running, where are the emails being saved? Probably there is. So let's search that up. Maybe there is something that um, Linux SMTB. Where are the mails? Something like that. Okay, he's asking about the he's asking about sent emails. Okay. Oh, okay. This guy seems to be referring to this and this slash bar slash mail, and we know that slash bar usually in Linux is meant for like files that are constantly changing, like log files and emails. So let's actually check that out. So he said slash bar slash mail. So let's actually go here and do something like ls slash bar slash mail. Let's see. Whoa. So there seems to be a particular user for our www data account, which makes sense because we had a web application, and probably that web application had to send emails like password forgot link or like reset your password, this kind of stuff. Maybe like yeah, like you need a mail for mail account for a web application. So let's see this. What's inside? Www data. Do we have anything here? No. What I think is it a file on its own? Yeah, it is a file. So www data is not a directory, it is a file. So let's actually look at this. So let's look at it. So I'm gonna do cat Control Shift V and paste that in. And okay, we seem to be having some sort of oh, we can see some of the emails sent. So let's take this and read them one by one. Okay, we have another piece of information. It's running exam. It's an email client or server. Not sure. I think it does both. It's NTB client server. Sorry. exam 4.94.2. And there's some stuff. Let's read these. And I mean, okay, these guys are trolling us. So we're under attack. We've been targeted by an extremely complicated and sophisticated DDoS attack. Just your skills, please save us from this. Here are the credentials for the root user. So, and there's like a couple of things going down here, and we don't care about these, but the only credential that seems to be here, and it says unroutable, so this email wasn't even delivered. It's just there for the, yeah, to test our skills, at our investigative skills. So it wasn't even delivered. Uh, that's what it seems like. So now they're trying to, I mean, that's good because they're showing you that sometimes admins, not necessarily out of stupidity or out of incompetence. I mean, that's incompetent already, but sometimes there's a situation and they had to, it was urgent, they were like in a rush and they did something. So there's a human element as well in security. And as a penetration tester, just like as you're testing technology and you know how to hit the right buttons to get that technology investigated and crack through it, you also understand human psychology and you understand that some uh, mistakes can happen just because of an urgent situation or because maybe an admin wasn't getting enough sleep and he did something stupid. So you still need to look for these. So let's actually try this. So we have these credentials root, and let's copy this. Let's actually take a screenshot because this is critical. When we show it to our client, they're going to be furious. How can this happen? So let's copy this. That's a critical vulnerability. And let's come here. And where's our cherry tree? And we, I mean, I'll add this later, but for now, I'll add the details later. And we're already 2 minutes late because we started 5 minutes late. But we'll be done soon. So now we have this credential. Let's save it. I mean, it's with plain text credentials for root. And we haven't tested these yet. Maybe they don't work, but let's see. Alt Shift F. Let's make it red and clear because this is a critical information. So let's do this. I'm going to use this information now. So let's actually copy just the password. Where's the password? Yep. So let's copy this. And let's do su, which is super user or change. It allows us to basically log in as other users. I'm going to do su root, or I can do su dash. By default, it's going to do root. Asking me for a password, I'm going to Control Shift V that and save it. Press enter, and boom, we are. Who am I? I'm the root user. We've gained privilege escalation on this system. And to confirm that, if I do, I mean, there's no confirmation needed, but if I do this, I can show you that when we do dash B, dash TLBN now, we can see the actual process that is listening on that particular port. This information wasn't available to us as dub data because that's critical. Like you can just spy on other ports or like get this information easily. But now that as root we have more privilege and basically we have full control of the system. We can even look at the shadow file where all passwords are stored and stuff. Okay, so who am I now? How do we prove that we've gained root? We go to cd/root and ls here we have a proof.txt file. We can look at that and send that to offensive security to prove that we have successfully cracked this box. So let me submit that flag. And in this box, there was no user flag. We land this data and we just gain root. And yeah, success. I'm on another screen and it says success. You submitted the. Oh wait, there was a user flag. So that's just asking for another flag. So it's probably in the other user's home directory. So if we go to /home.data, um, there's no. That's actually. So I'm looking for the other flag. It's called local.txt usually. So I'm going to look for that. /dev/null. Do we find it? Okay, so it's in here. So we can copy this, cap this, and here we go. We get this second flag as well. the user flag, which we had access to even before getting root, but we're good, so we get root first. Yeah, so that was it. That's the process of penetration testing a box from start to finish, doing the scanning, doing the enumeration, doing the foothold, getting a reverse shell, and then doing finally privilege escalation. Any questions? Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. By the way, what do you guys think? It went awesome. Thank you. You're awesome. Hopefully, you learned something. I don't know if it was maybe. I mean, I know it was fast paced. I'm sure there was so many things that went unexplained, but yeah, intermediate track. uh, Thank you, thank you. It's meant to do. Inshallah, I'll share the recording as well. Let's actually stop the recording. Um, or wait, before stopping the recording, let's actually finishing the notes. Let's finalize these. So uh, we performed an internal board scan. Okay, so that's what we've done. So ss dash. So can we do exit here? Okay, we did ss Talban, and we got this. Let's make it this. I mean, uh, could we talk about users? Okay, so what did we say about users? Let me, while doing this, and found something interesting. So imagine the blog had lots of users. Would that be helpful to you with this vulnerability? Would you look into that or export that data? Um Look, there's two things. So when you're hacking a box, I'm emphasizing reporting and doing that kind of stuff. But what we just did is not a penetration test. It is technically, it's similar to a penetration test, but we're just focused on you know, getting into the box. We're not enumerating as much as possible. A a penetration test is more of if you've done like search algorithms, it's more of a breadth first search. We're trying to enumerate as much as we can at every single phase. Okay, so at every level, we're trying to enumerate as much as we can. So even if we found a password, the root password, in a penetration test, we would still continue to find other vulnerabilities that could lead us to root. So maybe there's a kernel vulnerability, maybe there's some other vulnerable applications. So we try to enumerate these. Now, why am I saying this? Because in a penetration test, even though we know that the admin is the weak account or whatever, we would still look at the other users and test them, because when we submit the report, even if the people who take the report and read it, even if they remediate one thing, we still have other things to offer, so they can remediate these as well. Because maybe they changed the admin password, but it turns out that there's some other vulnerability that we haven't looked at because we were not focused on penetration testing, but we were trying to just hack it. You see? So penetration testing, you try to be as much as encompassing as possible and get everything. I mean, at least a good penetration tester would do that. So we find an SMTP port open locally. We check the mail directory. So let's complete this. So we check the mail directory. Uh, so slash bar slash mail. And 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 we find a SMTP. I don't know how does SMTP store these, or I'm not sure. But anyways, that's how you find emails usually on a Linux system. Uh, www SMTP message for user data, and reading through it, we find an urgent email with an exposed plain text password for root. Now, sometimes, like, you look at that password and it's like unusable. Maybe it's unusable, but you still save it because maybe at some other corner of the system you're using that password. You would still keep it. Maybe it's not for root. Maybe it's for some other user. So you still keep all of these credentials and save them. In our case, we were lucky. It is just like that simple step, and we were able to log in as root. Uh, plain text credentials for root. Uh, okay, and we can do this final step. So we did su and we typed in the password. Can we look at that here? We can look at the different things and we can maybe include the this here. That's what we've done. And let's remove this and let's make this you know, manipulating the results. So yeah, that was fun and thank you guys for attending. We can end the recording now. And we're 10 minutes